This may end up taking a little while, but I thought I would walk you through the process of how I would approach this assignment. Um, if you haven't done the assignment yet, then yeah, I'm giving away the story here. But hopefully you'll learn from this instead of just copying it. But I think that showing the process is much more important than just having the answer. Okay? So let's see. So we're supposed to have something that looks like this HTML file. All right. So I've got today, tonight, Wednesday, Wednesday night, so on and so forth. So the days are matched across like that. Okay. To prepare for this assignment, read about the Weather HTML module. Weather forecast service. Each period covers about 12 hours in either day, an afternoon, or a night. So it should call these functions: weather HTML.create document, file name, location options, file name is where this module will write it, loc name, name the geographic location, param options. I don't find this enlightening, but hopefully we'll be able to figure it out from the code. This part about the parameter options. Okay, so after we've called create document, we need to call start new row once at the beginning of each desired row of periods. And this is not real obvious to me either. But if we look at this, we can see each row is a day. Today, tonight, Wednesday, Wednesday night, etc. Okay. Add period. So the period is going to be today and tonight and so forth. And it says to make an empty cell, we can call add period with none or an empty dictionary as the period. Okay. We'll see why that matters in a few minutes. And then the last thing we call is HTML write document. Oh. And here we've got a nice little example we can start off with. So we'll just paste that into our file right here. Maybe. Okay. And yes, I'm using Emacs. I'm not using VS Code. I apologize. I'm just too used to Emacs after, let's see, I started using it in 1985, so that makes it 35 years of using it. Yeah, I'm pretty much used to it. Okay. So what happens if we just run this? Well, the first thing is, let's see, we're done with that. Back to here, we need these two files. Now, there's different ways you can do this. You can right-click and you can go to Save Link As, but I'm allergic to menus. And so I take copy link address and I go to my command line and I say wget and then whatever link that gave me. And we can now see that gave me weather_html.py. This is the actual video I'm recording right now, so you'll see that every time I do a directory listing. We also need test periods. So once again, copy link address, wget test periods, and so there we've got testperiods.py. Very good. Okay, so now we've got import weather HTML periods equals something. Well, that's not going to run. Document either equals this. Okay. Start a new row, add a new period, add another period, and write document. Okay, that looks like a legal Python file, except for this ... here. What do we need the periods to be? And so here we've got another fragment, so we're going to need that. We're going to hope the order doesn't matter. City name. Okay, we're just going to copy all of this and see what happens. All right. Okay, so now I can get rid of that line because I've got a different one here that says periods equals. And the other thing I would notice, because these two samples were non-overlapping, I've got city name here, which is set to Rexburg, Idaho, and then I've got Rexburg, Idaho written into my program here. I don't know if you've learned this in past courses, but whenever you have a string like that, you really hate to have it more than once. And so since it's assigned to a variable here, what I really should do is just replace this with city name, okay? And that way I can change the city just by working with this variable. And for this week that doesn't matter. For next week that'll be useful. Alright, so let's write that out. And let's see, what do we got? So we got weather py. So since I'm working from the command line, I have to type Python weather.py, and nothing happened, except that we do have PyCache. Don't know what that is. Looks kind of interesting. Okay, so it did some sort of temporary compilation on those two files. Fascinating. But we've also created this forecast.html. And so if I load that file, and we have to work our way down my directory tree here. Week 3, videos, weather, forecast.html. Okay, so we got today and tonight. It's not very pretty, but at least we got something. Now, what may be more instructive is to look at the actual file itself. And now we can see so here's our city name, which apparently WriteFile filled in for us. And then there's this table, and it would take some more experimentation to see this for sure. But what we're doing is each time we call start new row, it adds a tr element to this table row. And interesting. And so each time it starts, each time you call add period, I would expect it to add oh, I'm sorry. These are headings, and these are the periods, high, low. Interesting. So it added two things when I said add row. Okay. So let's see. So one of the weirdnesses was this thing here. If we go back to here, it says we've got a bunch of things that we can put in there. We've got period name, temperature, wind, icon, short forecast, and detailed forecast. The default name is period name, temperature, and short forecast. Period name, temperature. So let's pick up icon. And I don't know if the order matters on these, so we'll just try it and see what happens. In fact, you know what? This is kind of messy as this stretches out. So we're going to put a line break after each one of those. I hope we don't need backslashes after that. I don't remember. Nope, doesn't like that. Line 10. Yeah, so it does need the backslashes. And I'm not used to languages that count white space, so this always takes me a minute. No, that didn't work either. Takes from 2 to 3 positional arguments, but 4 were given. Really? Oh, I put weather.icon outside. I missed that. That's why it didn't indent the way I expected. Okay, back from the phone call, which I edited out for purposes of the video, but now I've got to figure out what I was doing again. So I had put weather.html.icon in the wrong place. I've now corrected it, so if I hit tab, it indents to the right place, which is good. Now we're going to see if that runs correctly. Closing paren does not match opening paren. Oh, it is so picky. It wants every little detail right, doesn't it? There we go. And so now if we reload this page, okay, we can see we got, so it looks like the order does matter. And so I'm going to, whoops, do that. And actually I probably want the period name there too, don't I? So we'll do that. Now let's see what it looks like. Okay, so we reload. Okay. I don't remember if today and tonight is supposed to go above or below. Where's the... Oh, today and tonight is supposed to go above, and then next is temperature. Oh, all right. Run it again. Reload. Okay, good. And now if we look at this file, gotta reload it. Now we can see, interesting, we've got all sorts of table data and table rows going on here. Fascinating. All right. So, and this is unfair because it keeps showing me the snow, and I know there's not any snow for tonight, but I'm just so excited to see that. Oh, good, we're going to have snow tonight? No, we're not going to have snow tonight. And it's not going to get down to 2 degrees. It's going to get down to 50 tonight. All right, I'm in Denver. Okay, so let's come back to here, and actually, what else were we supposed to have? We're supposed to have temperature, wind, and is that the detailed forecast? I guess we can tell by looking into the test periods. So it looks like, yeah, that's the detailed forecast. We don't really need the short forecast. So we need wind speed and wind direction and detailed forecast. Okay, so now we come back to here and we look at our list. It's just wind. All right, so temperature, got an extra comma there. Shoot, what was it? Wind, and then weather HTML dot detailed forecast. I didn't copy that. Okay, detailed forecast. So let's see what that gives us now. We'll run it. I didn't make any hideous mistakes. We reload. Ah, okay. Now we're looking closer to this, right? Yeah, things have shifted around a little bit, but it's pretty close. All right. So now we've got the skeleton of our program, so to speak, but we need to figure out how to get more periods in here. Now, if we look at our test periods, we can see we've got today, tonight, Wednesday, Wednesday night, and so these go in pairs. And in Python, typically we would loop over elements of a list like this. So we've got the beginning of a list there. Each element is a dictionary with a specific format so that our program can unpack it automatically for us. And so in this case, well, let's see what we can do. Let's see, if we wanted to, let's try for period in periods. Guess I could do this all at once, couldn't I? It doesn't indent all at once. That's interesting. Let's see. So we add period, period. So then we don't want a second period, so we're going to get rid of that for a moment just to see what happens, okay? So this is going to step through each period in the periods list. It's going to start a new row and add a period, which doesn't sound like it's going to do what we want, but let's give it a try and see what happens. So we run that, no errors, that's always a good sign. We reload this, and okay, we've got all of our periods here, but they're not side by side the way they're supposed to be. And so I need to add, I need this period added, but then I need the next one added next to it. And as it turns out, that doesn't look very easy to do. Because when we're stepping through each one, there's no way to get every other one. And so I've worked with somebody else who had come up with a solution of they do an index and they use a range object, range 0, what was it, len periods. It's very unobject oriented. And they stepped by 2 so that we're looking at every other element of the periods. And so now we're looking at periods subindex. And by the way, you'll notice I didn't use I, which a lot of people do. I don't like single character variable names. The reason for that is if for some reason I should change what I'm doing with this loop, for example, it's real easy to search and replace on index. It's hard to search and replace on I. There's an I there. Okay, there's not too many I's in here. There's one, but I don't want to have to track down all the I's. So in this case, I'm going to add the indexed element, and then I'm going to add the one after it so that I take 2 periods at a time. All right? And that, we hope, will give us things on the row. So we try that. Don't forget to run it. If you don't run it, it doesn't matter how correct your code is, you won't get the correct output. Ah, look at that. Okay, so in fact, if we compare it here, they're identical. That's beautiful. Now, the problem comes that we've got test periods that start with a day, or periods that start with a day, and we've got periods that start with a night. And if we uncomment that line and comment that line, let's see what happens, because that's our next test case, right? So we run it again, we reload this page, and now we've got tonight here, but we've got Tuesday and Tuesday night on different rows. They're supposed to be on the same row. Somewhere here we had the example for that. I think that was this one. Yeah, and so there's supposed to be a blank here and tonight over here. Well, how do we account for that? So we've got a special case for the first time through this loop. One way to do that is to write some special purpose code before the loop starts, okay? And when I was working with your classmate last night, this was what I came up with. So we say if periods sub 0, so that's the 0th element of the periods list. So we're looking at this one, and it has this thing in here which is daytime. True for day, false for night. True, false. So I can look at that indicator. Since that's a dictionary, I indicate it like that. And I've already forgotten what that thing was called. Is daytime. Okay. Now, if it starts off with daytime, we're fine. So what I really need is, if it's not daytime, then I'm going to have to add these two elements. But I don't want anything to appear in that first one. And so somewhere we saw that if we put in none, that'll get us a blank entry like this right here. And this isn't index, this is now 0. But this only accounts for part of the problem. Well, let's see what happens here. Run it again. Uh-oh. What did we do wrong? List index out of range. Oh, okay. Why is list index out of range? This is when we really need a debugger. So it says append period, list index out of range. This is in weather.html line 78. So let's look at weather underscore, not dot, HTML line 78, document sub rows -1 append period. Fascinating. So the document is this beast right here, and it's got a dictionary which has rows in it, and so we're supposed to add onto the last element our period. And it's not clear why we're getting an index out of range there, since we don't have any indices except for this, which means, oh, okay. I was saying this means the last element. Well, if the list were empty, which is how it starts out, then we'd get an index out of range. And the reason for that is I forgot to start a new row. So I need a row to put that initial data in. All right. So let's write that out. Rerun it. Didn't get an error. That's always encouraging. And which one's ours? Is it this one? It's this one. So we're going to reload. Okay, so we've got the blank and tonight, but then we've got tonight again and Tuesday. And that's because we used up element 0 here, but we didn't make any provision for not starting on 0 here. So we need a variable, and there's a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to do this. So we're going to say start index, and I went with camel case instead of underscore, equals 0. So by default, we're going to start from the 0th element in the list. But if we're in this special case, now we're going to say start index equals 1, and we're going to step from start index by 2. Okay? So let's see what that does for us. So that will skip over that first blank one, or the tonight. So we run that, and we got an index out of range again. But this is a different place, line 30. Weather PI, oh, so that's in mine. And the problem here is that since we've started, we're stepping by 2, and since we've started from 1, we're stepping off the end of the array. And so when we're stepping by 2, this should really be length minus 1, which it should have been all along, but because we had an even length list, I didn't notice it the first time. Okay? So let's try that. And run it. No errors. Good. Reload. And look at that. We've got the days all lined up the way they're supposed to be. Now, in order to complete testing this, we need to come back here and comment out that line and uncomment that line. And rerun it. Didn't get an error. Good. And we reload. And we've got today, tonight, Wednesday, Wednesday night. Okay, so we've got working code here. And typically what I recommend at this point is you say copy weather.py to weather.py.1. So I've saved my working version of the code. And if I do something to this and break it, I can always come back to the working version. All right? That's why I do that. Now, the reason why I may want to do something is notice I've got a lot of duplicated code here. I've got, in this special case, I have all the code that's inside of the loop plus an extra statement, which doesn't seem very elegant to me. Okay? And looking at this last night, I couldn't come up with a more elegant way to do it. And I was a little frustrated because it seems like it should work. But after thinking about it, I realized if we look at the elements of the list, kind of in general, so let's go to test periods here. If we see one that's a daytime, we need to add a new row and add the period. If it's not daytime, we just add the period. It's daytime, we add a new row. It's not daytime, add the period. So we could put some logic inside of our loop to avoid having to go 2 at a time, which simplifies all of this again. So let's drop back to period in periods. It's called periods, right? Yeah. And now we're going to say if period sub is daytime, we're going to start a new row, and in any event we're going to add the period to the the document. And for the moment we're going to get rid of all this special case code, because that's what I'm trying to do, right, is get rid of the special case. So now, if I've done this right, I'm no longer stepping by 2, but I have some code in here to have a different effect if I've got an is daytime. So let's see what that looks like. Well, we didn't get an error. That's always a good start. We reload. We got today, tonight, Wednesday, Wednesday night. Good. But of course, if I go back to this one we expect an error because I'm not handling the special case, right? So I run index out of range. Oh, okay. Remember when we had an empty list, we got this index out of range on line 78? So the problem here is that the first element in this list of periods, periods that start with a night, its first element is daytime is false, so we're not calling start new row. So we need to account for our special case here somehow. And this is still going to be a little bit messier than I would like. But we're going to create a variable here called started day equals false. All right. So that we can check to see if we have started a day here. And so this one, adding a new row, starts the day. So we'll say started day equals true. No semicolon, I'm not in C. But now we'll change this condition. We'll say or not started day. So if we see a new day, or if we haven't started a day, then we will start a day, which is effectively just adding the row. And we'll set this variable true to say, yep, we've already started a day. And then in any case, we'll add the period. So have I done that right? Well, the easiest way to find out instead of studying it is just to run it and see what happens. Well, we didn't get an error. That's always a good thing. Now we reload. Well, we came awfully close, except that tonight is over here. We really wanted it over here. Okay, so that was close. So we're still going to have to add one more special case here. This is still uglier than I would like. We'll see what happens. If not started day, so this is when we need to add that null period, right? So let's see. Add period none. Okay, I'm staring at this. This doesn't feel elegant yet. Let's try it and see if it works first. Working is what we care about first, right? So we reload. Okay, tonight is over here. Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. So that works. Still not too happy with the elegance of it. So we're going to copy weather.py to weather.py.to. So now I've got two working versions, and you'll notice this is shorter, which means that it's a little cleaner. How can we make this more elegant? I don't like the fact that I've got a special case here, and so I'm checking for this special case twice, which I don't like. So it might be just slightly cleaner to say if not started day, we're going to have to add a row. We're going to have to add that. and then we set started day equals true. Then we can make this an elif. Do that. Is that any more elegant? Maybe just incrementally. Let's see if it works. So we're going to run it, and we're going to reload. Okay, that worked. I didn't test this with the other one, did I? So we're going to rerun it, reload it. Today, tonight, Wednesday. Whoops, I've still got a blank there. Okay, so that didn't work. Interesting. So I still have to check both conditions. Well, that's a little irritating. But in this case, we say my attempt didn't work, so I'm going to take weather.py.2 and copy it back into weather.py. Now whoops, revert this back, so now I can see that I'm back to this one. Did I test this? We're going to test it with periods that start with a day, since I don't think we did test that before. We're going to rerun it, and we're going to reload, and that's still oh dear. So this logic still is not right. So the other one was no worse than this. So this is not started day. This is not period is daytime. So I had the wrong condition there, I think. Let's try rerunning. Reload. Okay, now we've got today, tonight, Wednesday, Wednesday night. Let's go to our other list. Test that. Okay, blank tonight, Tuesday, Tuesday night. All right, so I'm still not entirely happy with this because I don't like the fact that I'm checking that twice. We could play with it more to try to reorder this, but I think you're tired of listening to me even if you put me on 2 times speed, so we'll leave it there for now. Hope this was a little bit helpful just to watch the approach that I take to solve this, and thanks for watching. Appreciate it.